Well, welcome. My name is Mr. Murphy, and I want to use this opportunity to make sure that you understand what you need to be doing for this online Algebra 2 course. Now, this is an online Algebra 2 course, so this means that it's requiring a lot more independent work and a lot more personal responsibility on your part to make sure that you're staying caught up and doing what you need to be doing. Now, what exactly should you be doing on any given day? Well, first off, most of you guys are on campus most of the day. So if that's the case, and if you're here all the way through the end of the day and taking a bus home, you should be working on the work during this 7th hour class in either the commons or the lunchroom, because both of those spaces will be open for you guys to be doing that work. Otherwise, you could work from home. Some of you guys, I know that's the case, where you are online all day, whether taking some courses here through Edina and some courses elsewhere online. But again, a lot of this falls on personal responsibility. Now, this is going to look different from what you've experienced in the past with other online courses when we were locked down or hybrid. There is no live Google Meets that you have to go to or anything like that. So what are you going to be doing on a daily basis? Well, the most important thing for you to be aware of is this daily log. And you can access this when you go on Schoology. If you notice this button here, very first button that you see there underneath Algebra 2 says daily log. So if you go to that, this is my way of taking attendance and making sure that people are working and staying on top of what they should be doing. Or even for you to know what you should be doing on a daily basis. Because if you notice, there is no calendar because a calendar is built into this daily log. And so to access this daily, what you're going to do first is, obviously with this is like walking into the room and seeing who's in the room and who's not. Okay, so there's no grades. This is not anything violating any confidential information. Okay, just be like walking in a room and seeing that, oh, the person that's normally in my group isn't here today. That's all we're seeing. We're not seeing any grades. But at the very bottom, now that it's all loaded up, you'll notice that these are the students that are enrolled in this online Algebra 2 course. Now, if you notice, there's one here that says Mr. Murphy. And currently, I am absent from today because today is August 30th, 2021. So what I would have to do for myself is that I have to scroll down. Now, for everybody else's names, it's in alphabetical order. So if your last name was Murphy, it would be with the M's. But I just put mine here at the very end because I'm going to delete it after I create it. But anyhow, what I would do is I would want to click on this tab at the bottom. Because if I try to type in and put in an X or a 0, it won't let you do that. Okay, but if I go down here to where it says Mr. Murphy, this is where you're going to have your calendar for the course. Okay, now this is not a traditional course where you are required to work on specific things on any particular day. You can work at your own pace, but you need to be working. And the suggested pacing guide is over here in this third column. Again, you can't change anything. You can't adjust it to kind of manipulate your parents or anything like that. That is the only thing that you can type in that this program, the way that I have it set up, is today's date for what you're doing today. Okay, you can't even change the date. You can't even type into something on a future date or a past date. So if you forget to type something in, like let's say if I forgot to type this in for today, tomorrow if I came to something like, oh shoot, I forgot, and I try to type in for yesterday's date, it won't let me do that. The only day that you could type in is for today's date. And so, and for the suggested pacing, today's date is just an introduction to the course. And so if you're watching this video, you can just say, watched video for course. Or you could say, I met Mr. Murphy, or I looked at the course information. Whatever, just got to be a very brief description. So for example, tomorrow, maybe you watched the first video for lesson 1, day 1. And so I would type that. I'll just show you if I try to type that in. It's going to say, oh, there's a problem. You can't type anything into that cell because today's not August 31st. So the only cell that you can type in is today's date. Now I want to go back and show you. So again, this is so I can see what everybody's doing on this main page. So I can see now, notice, so I said originally Mr. Murphy I was marked absent. Now I am green, so now I am marked present. So if this was the case, I would not be marked absent for today. So that is important for you to remember, for you to fill that out at some point before 3:30 in the afternoon on every day. Okay, that's a sign. So Thursdays, this is 7th hour. Thursday's an even period day. you do not have to do anything on a Thursday. In fact, you'll notice that there is no Thursdays on this calendar for that reason. There's nothing for you to do on a Thursday. But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you should be logging in and just putting a brief description of what you did that day. It doesn't have to be even done during 7th hour. It just has to be done before 3:30. So if you have a study hall first period or fourth period, and you want to use that time to work on this class, and that way you don't have to do it during 7th hour, you can do that. Okay, that's a great thing about working online. And then if after first hour or during first hour, I watched the video and took notes, go into that day's, go into this log, find your name, click on it, type in what you did, and you're done. That's all you got to do. All right, so some other things for you to be aware of. So as far as, well, what do I do? How do I take notes? What do I do? So the next thing I would do is, if you want, you could print out the notes. Okay, so the notes for the entire chapter would be here if you click on that button. So you have 1:1, 1:2, 1:4, 1:5, 1:6. Those are the 5 sections we're going to be covering in this first chapter. So you can print those out and use those to follow along. The next thing, so let's say you printed out the notes, or maybe you don't want to use the notes. Well, the next thing you want to do is you want to watch the video. So the videos for the first chapter are all right here. Now you'll notice that there's 1:1 day 1 and 1:1 day 2. But if you look at the calendar, 1:1 is all this week. And so this week, you have to watch the videos for 1:1, so 1:1 day 1 and 1:1 day 2, and do the assignments. And the assignments are going to be on Pearson, which I'll show you in a minute on Schoology how to access those. But you'll notice that every lesson is pretty much made up of 2 days. Okay? So that's all available for you there to work on your own pace. By the way, with that daily log, let's say you work ahead, and at the end of the week, you're supposed to be on 1:1 or finishing up lesson 1:1, and you're all done with it. You could choose to either start 1:2, so start with the next section, or if you're like, you know what, I really need to focus on my biology. You could just say in your daily log, all caught up. But you need to put something into that daily log every single day, because otherwise I don't know that you're all caught up. I don't know that you have all your assignments done, you've watched the videos, but if you type in all caught up, that tells me that, okay, you didn't work on anything math related, you were just working on biology. So that's equivalent to, let's say if you were in a traditional classroom, and let's say that day we were working on the assignment or working on a review, and you're all caught up and you wanted to work on your history, I would have let you do that. You'd be in my class, you'd be present in my class, but you'd be working on a different subject. So it's totally fine if you're ahead to not do any math for that day and just work on something else if you need to focus on something else. But you don't want to get behind. With Algebra 2, if you start to get behind, it's really tricky to get caught up because there's a lot of information. Even though we broke up each section into 2 days, a day 1 and day 2, within those days, oftentimes there's a lot of material covered. So please do yourself a favor. Make sure you follow that pacing guide as a bare minimum. Okay, and do at least that material on any given day. Now you'll notice that there's a button for warm-ups. I had students ask, well, should I do these warm-ups? Should I not do these warm-ups? I would recommend doing those warm-ups as a review for a quiz. Basically what those warm-ups cover are the key content, the key material for every section. So if you click on that warm-up, these will all be PDFs, these will all be worksheets that cover each section. So lesson 1:1, lesson 1:2. So those would be the warm-ups that you could, oops, I just noticed that that button is messed up, but I'll fix that button. But anyhow, so that would just cover the individual warm-ups that you would need to make sure that you understand those key concepts from any given day. And the only other thing that's here is there's reviews for each section. This is where you do the reviews as we get closer to the test. And then we do have an online graphing calculator. Now that graphing calculator, it says that you need to register for a website. You don't have to do that. If you just type in that you're a guest and hit start and hit start. Now if I go up to the top, there's a graphing calculator. So that's a TI-84. Now I want to say though, you need to make sure that you do have a regular TI-84 calculator. Because although you'll be able to use this for maybe assignments or for even for quizzes, because quizzes will be online, you will not be able to use this on a test. The only time that you will ever see me, that you're ever required to see me in person, is for test days. So on a test day, we'll be meeting in room 342, E342. And that's the only days we'll be meeting as a class that's required for you to be face-to-face. Because then the test, I can say, for those students, because most of you guys are moving on to pre-calculus next year, we know that this online class will be comparable to the in-person Algebra 2 classes. And then you're not getting anything, too, that you're not getting any access to things that those students that are taking the in-person test don't have access to. Because let's be real here. There's PhotoMath, there's Google, there's plenty of online calculators where if you just type in a problem, it'll even show you the work to get to the answer. I know a lot of you guys were using that last year. Okay, so you want to make sure that the grade that you're getting this year in Algebra 2, this online course, is equivalent to an in-person Algebra 2 class. So we don't want students saying, oh, I'd rather be in this online class where I can cheat because I'm really struggling in this regular Algebra 2 class. So that is not what this is all about. So you're required to take the test in person. There are a few exceptions, in which case you need to email me and we'll set up a plan. And some of you guys have already done that, opened up that conversation already. But you need to have a TI-84 calculator. This is something you'll be able to use as you continue through your math career, so to speak. All right, I think that covers all the information that I need to cover. But if you have any questions, the one thing I wanted to talk about, as far as if you ever want to meet with me, those of you that are in the building, you always have, every day you have an opportunity for asynchronous and synchronous work all at once. Asynchronous, working independently, is what you'll be doing the majority of the time. But you always have an opportunity for a synchronous activity of meeting me face-to-face right outside my classroom. So if you go to the Highlands Flex Space, I will always be sitting out there. You guys can see my face, so you know what I look like right now, so you can find me. Obviously, I'll be wearing a mask, so you'll only see that much of my face. But anyhow, so I'll be sitting right outside of my classroom. My classroom typically is E345. It's just that there's a different teacher using my room during the 7th hour, so I'm not able to be in my room. There's a different teacher that has his room open, E342, but I don't want to kick him out of his room every day, so that's why we're only using his room on test days. But otherwise, if you ever want to meet with me, if you ever have questions, I'll be right outside my room. I'll be happy to work with you, help explain anything to you that you're struggling with. I'm not there to teach a full lesson, though, because otherwise, if there's other students that have questions, if I'm teaching a full lesson, I can't help them. And plus, all those lessons, like I said, are in those videos that you can watch independently. Well, I hope this is going to be a great year. I'm excited to see how this works. But again, feel free to email me if you have any other questions.